Welcome to the Two Grumpy Bastards podcast, where feelings aren't felt and snowflakes melt. Buckle up, it's gonna be a bumpy ride.
They painted over ants.
Hello! Hello! Welcome to the Two Grumpy Bastards podcast. How you doing, Russ?
Good. The bastards are back, and now that Coop has ambushed me with YouTube, I need to not be doing all this and kind of stuff and with my hands and look moderately presentable. I'm sure my, orange shirt does that.
You look like a fishing lure, like for a big mouth bass. Like if a big mouth bass did algebra, you'd be the perfect fishing lure.
Yeah, or as like one of my army buddies said,
That's fucking amazing what I just said. I hope everybody.
As one of my army buddies said the morning after dining in, dude, you look like my grandfather.
Yeah, no, I did put our last podcast on YouTube. So those of you that are only enjoying us through the audio airwaves of a podcast provider, we're also on YouTube, Two Grumpy Bastards podcast. Love it if you guys would go over there. That way you can see like what. It's always opposite. So sorry. Since my newscasting days, here we go. Since what Russ is wearing, and I'm wearing. Russ is wearing, and I'm wearing. Yes, Russ looks like I said, the lure, and I'm wearing the Seahawks.
Seahawks jersey after lecturing me for a few minutes about how he was no longer one of the massive Seahawks fans.
This is not a jersey. This is a hoodie. And this
that is indeed a distinction to remember.
It's because it's so circular. I'm gonna mention that at the very last thing we talk about tonight. I'm actually gonna mention that.
Okay.
I love this. This is
all theater. It's theater and dramatization.
Karma and all that stuff. So hey Russ, let me play our intro for the first segment we're gonna actually talk about. I have a problem with some things I heard today. And here we go.
Get on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
I would say welcome to Biden's bidet, but it's going to be like every time we podcast, we got more to talk about. We talked about a lot of the things in the last podcast that he said, but I'm not going to say I feel sorry for this guy because he's had an entire career of fucking this country up and being a terrible influence to this country. But could it get any worse, Russ? Please.
Yeah. First of all, every time I see him, I think two things. I think I cannot believe this guy is president of the United States. The second thing I think is just once, sometime in my lifetime, I haven't had this since I was a kid. Sometime in my lifetime, I'd like to be able to watch a president of the United States and not cringe. I just haven't had it. Now, not since Reagan, not since the first part of the first Bush's term, and then definitely I'd say Reagan was the last guy that I didn't wince every once in a while. Now, Biden apparently does not understand that he's the president now. And what I mean by that is it means something when the president of the United States says something, or it is supposed to mean something. And so Biden made a couple of, I believe, fairly major gaffes that if they were, some assistant secretary at the State Department wouldn't have meant as much. But the fact that they came from the president of the United States were a pretty big deal. The first one was when he said Vladimir Putin can't remain in power. Okay, right. I get the sentiment of that. I agree wholeheartedly with the sentiment, that I don't like Vladimir Putin in power, and I wish that he would go. But at the same time, I also know that when the president of the United States says this guy needs to be out of power, he's signaling a policy change that is, we need to remove this guy and his regime. Basically, you're telling the world we need to do something about the Russian power structure, which is only going to make Putin more paranoid and put him into a box, even more. It actually ups the risk of conflict when he says something like that, because then a couple of things happened after that. The White House walked back the president's words, like, oh, he didn't really mean regime change. He was just talking off the cuff. And then they had to come out a couple of days later and say, well, the president does run the administration. We didn't mean to walk that back. So basically they're chasing their tail on this because the president can't stick to the cue cards. I mean, for all the grief that Trump got, rightfully so, when he would go off script sometimes, Biden is every bit as bad. And his has, greater diplomatic consequences. Like when he says, this guy can't remain in power any longer. That's a big deal coming from, it was like Obama's red line that he drew in Syria. If Bashar Assad used chemical weapons, and then when Assad used chemical weapons, and Obama did nothing, it destroyed the United States credibility. And then the second gaffe that he made, I don't know how many people heard this one, was he was asked, what would we do if Putin used nuclear, biological, or chemical weapons in Ukraine? And Biden said, we would respond in kind. Well, to me, respond in kind means roughly equivalent, which means if he uses chemical weapons, we would be willing to do the same. If he used nuclear weapons, we would be willing to do the same. Some folks have come out and said, oh, no, he was talking about slapping more sanctions on. What more sanctions is he going to slap on? Putin has already showed he doesn't care about the sanctions.
Right.
It's a completely toothless, empty threat that makes us look weak on the world stage. So Putin is going to react one of two ways. He's either going to laugh at us for trotting this guy out, saying stuff off the cuff that he's never going to do, or Putin's going to get super paranoid and really start upping things. And the only thing he's got to up with now he got two things. He can conscript the entire Russian population. He's already apparently ordered like 134,000 new conscripts, or he can use nuclear or chemical weapons. And now there are some things maybe we could do if he did that. If he used a nuclear weapon, maybe we do impose a full no-fly zone over Ukraine. I don't know. Real quick aside, I don't know if you saw this story, but I know I'm stay on target. This is mostly on target. This is that guy who's flying into the Death Star that just missed the exhaust port by a couple of feet. Did you see where the Russian troops in Ukraine, some of them, not all of them, but some of them in a certain area, are coming down with radiation sickness because they decided to trenches outside of Chernobyl?
I chased the tail on that one a little bit too to make sure it wasn't just one of those things. Yeah, I chased the tail on it a little bit. It sounds legit. And the thing that made me take pause on that was that people who don't understand physics and the whole idea of how radioactivity happens, Chernobyl and the area around it is not some weird ghost town thing where nobody will ever be able to inhabit the earth again. It's not like that. But there are certainly areas where there are hotbeds of activity based on that. So I wanted to chase the dragon on that a little bit. Sounds legit, actually, Russ. Yeah. Sounds like there's some Russian soldiers who didn't, weren't briefed, no command and control. What we were talking about last time. Who decided to take it upon themselves and go into these areas that maybe were a hot zone.
But it sounds kind of like you all have the old, brand new lieutenant jokes, but it sounds kind of like some brand new officer got over there and said, we need to dig in. They're like, sir, we're near Chernobyl. Hey, you just do what I tell you to, soldier.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, in the Russian army, that wouldn't surprise me. We talked about that a lot in the last podcast, how they kind of do their business. It doesn't sound like it's made up to me for what I could chase it for. I couldn't get any really primary sources on that, but it actually sounds like it might be legit. And it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me a bit.
Going back to Biden, you cannot tell the world that the United States will respond in kind unless you're willing to respond in kind. And if you're doing that, I hope you've had some discussions with your national security team on what that means. Because look, from a conventional military standpoint, we would wipe the mat with the Russians in about 6 weeks. But you're talking about a country that's got nuclear weapons. The only other country on earth that I'm aware of that has an actual store of smallpox. And the vast majority of the population is no longer inoculated against smallpox. I mean, I am, but I was one of the in the military. I got stuck. Coop, I think you still qualify, although your shot is probably waning by now. And if you've ever seen
it's waning, but yeah, my immunity.
But the booster, if you've ever seen the booster for those who haven't had a smallpox shot in 30 or 35 years, for those who've never had the joy of a smallpox shot.
I'm trying to think, bro. I think it was the early 90s since I had it.
Well, first of all, it's not a needle the way you think of it. Now maybe it's changed. When I got the smallpox shot back in 2003, it looked like a fork, like a big long fork, and they poke you in a circle 7 times. And it creates a scab that, it scabs over. You're not supposed to touch it and wipe your eye or anything, or you might get sick. Well, the booster shot, for all you fun fans out there who got it in 1971 before it was discontinued in the United States, the smallpox booster is 21 sticks in a circle on your arm. So y'all have fun with that if Russia decides to release that. Us and Russia are the only ones with a store of smallpox, which was one of the great scourges of the planet until this century. I mean, they think the smallpox might have been responsible for the plague of Justinian, which killed 10 million Romans?
Yeah, something to the effect of, what was it, like 30% of the population or something like that, if I remember right?
Well, 1 out of every 2 Romans at the time, like 50% of not Rome itself, the Roman Empire's population.
Right.
Most people don't talk about the plague of Justinian because the Black Death, the bubonic plague of the 13 to 1500s, overshadowed it, because that did take about a third to half of the entire world's population. But the plague of Justinian was big before that. It just got lost in the lore. But anyway, that goes back to how much are we willing to tangle with a guy that's got access to smallpox, access to chemical weapons, and, oh, by the way, about 2,000 nuclear warheads under his belt.
So I'll bring this up again, and I keep hearing it from this administration. I keep hearing nothing but backpedal, 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 backpedal. They're on their back foot. They got their jab hand up, but they're on their back foot, and they're retreating into the corner all the time. There hasn't been a single message of strength out of this administration telling Russia, you know what, fuck you. And I'm not saying, fuck you, we're going to go to war right now, let's go, but fuck you. No. This is the Rubicon, this is the river Styx. If you cross this, then this. I haven't heard a single thing out of this administration still, except the last thing we want is a war. You know what? Like I said in the last podcast, the last thing I want is Russia taking over half of Eastern Europe, because I'd be willing to go to war over that. I would be in a heartbeat. Yeah. So anyway,
and so would I. Look, there are things you can do. First of all, one of the worst things you can do is tell somebody you'll do anything to avoid a war. Right. Because then they'll just keep going. You don't say that. You may believe that. You may discuss it in your team.
Right.
You don't say that publicly. So that's one of the things. But there are other things we could do to show the Russians we're serious. But Biden is so beholden to certain left-wing groups, he won't. For example, let's make an announcement tomorrow or tonight that we're going to reopen, our fracking and the oil shale fields, and reopen our own natural reserves, and we'll supply Europe with the oil that they're no longer getting from Russia. And then let's actually park a destroyer in between a couple of the main man-made islands in the South China Sea, let China know we're serious, and by proxy, let the Russians know we're not going to tolerate anything. Let's send anti-aircraft missiles into Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And let's deploy, 10,000 soldiers to the Baltics. We say we're not going into Ukraine, but the Baltics are NATO territory. If you come into NATO territory, it's going to be war. Do something that actually puts a little bit of notice onto Putin, because one of the Russian strategies is called escalation to de-escalate. It means they're going to up the ante, hoping to scare the shit out of you so that you don't do anything. That's their whole point. They're not looking to go into full-scale war, but they're trying to do just enough so that you cower like a little weenie and back down.
It's like that big bully in the town that doesn't actually know how to fight, but he was born with a nice set of biceps and picks up a fence post and walks up to you and is sweating. It's that thing. Doesn't know how to fight to save his life. Doesn't know how to throw a jab or an uppercut or to dodge or anything like that. But we'll get through it through sheer bullshit. That's what Russia is. It's sheer bullshit. They got they're it's a paper tiger to a certain extent. It really is. Their defense budget, as high as it is for their economy, I actually looked this up today. I was looking at defense budgets of course, the United States of America is
Far and away.
And exponentially higher than anybody else on planet Earth. But Russia's defense budget is right around Norway.
Yeah.
Something like that. They don't have the money to spend on it. And they used to they're a paper tiger. They're a paper mache. They used to have this great Soviet empire built on we've talked about the tactics before, sending down a lot of artillery, the steel wall, and Bertams and Bimps and TMP, whatever. But it was hollow. Their tactics never existed, like you've mentioned.
Yeah, and the Russian defense budget, like you said, is not very large, and if it's the last 6 weeks have shown just how much of a mirage it was. I mean, Putin was very good at propaganda. You saw the memes coming out of the memes and the videos coming out of the Soviet, I want to call it Soviet Union, but out of Russia, showing their combat training and, all of them fighting, hand to hand and all this other stuff. It turned out to be, nothing but propaganda. They can't fight right now. Now, at the same time, I don't know if you saw this, but our Air Force today put out a video tweet celebrating Trans Recognition Day.
Oh my God!
They had some transgender members of the Air Force.
I did not see that. I did not see that. I'm trying to.
The Twitter ratio was epic. They deleted the tweet like twice and then put it back out, and it still got hit up. It's just, I don't know if y'all seen the Facebook meme of the TikTok guy with the TikTok guy, biological dude with the long fingernails and the lip gloss, like pointing at the picture of Biden, and the caption underneath says, "I'm pretty sure that's the point at which the Taliban said we got this."
Oh, well, the backlash is beginning, my friend. I'm seeing it everywhere. So
backlash is big time. I mean, we could do an entire episode on the backlash. What's going on with Disney? What's going on in Texas, Florida? What just happened in Oklahoma? All these states that are. It's fun to watch the left freak out. I don't know if you saw this, but Joe Biden today was playing up the benefits of hormone therapy and transition for children. He did that today. Yeah, he had made an entire video of it. I'm like, dude, y'all are digging your own graves for November and for 2024.
Like the Miami governor said, if this is the hill you want to die on, Disney.
Florida governor. Miami doesn't have a governor.
Did I say Miami?
Yeah.
I guess I was thinking of Crockett and Tubbs from our last conversation.
Yeah. But no, you're absolutely right. DeSantis is like, if this is the hill you want. Well, I don't know if you saw what DeSantis did today, or one of the state legislators.
Fuck me.
The state legislators. Disney has a special carve out for Disney World in Florida, where they're basically allowed to govern themselves. And today, one of the Florida state legislators is like, maybe we need to remove that and just, put y'all under the jurisdiction of the county that you're located in.
Right. Yeah, you think? Yeah, no, every day that goes by, it's like you reveal yourself more and more. And the fact, Russ, and we'll move on because we have some fun stuff we want to talk to, but the underlying foundation of all this stuff that disturbs me about everything we're talking about, it's not even the issues we're talking about. It's not the eaches and all of that. It's the fact that there are a certain majority of people that supported one of these things or another at one time or another. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like there's this loss of identity of America among people. And here I go getting deep again, like I do every goddamn time we're just trying to have a podcast. But there's there's this abyss. There's this moral abyss in this country that exists now that I don't think existed when I was a kid or coming up in any of that stuff. But it's like it disturbs me greatly that people would support people that make these kinds of laws or regulations or decrees or anything like that. I never thought this country would get around to doing something like that.
Look,
It's one thing. It's one thing. Let me just say this, and I'll shut up and let you talk. It's one thing to support the underdog, and if that means somebody that has a mental health issue or a sexual identity issue or something like that who's getting picked on, I fucking get it. Okay, I get the eaches. But the eaches should not be the majority. I'm sorry. The eaches should not set policy. The eaches should be what we are as a country, which is a bunch of really good people who are going to support each other and fight for the underdog. We've always been about that. And that's what I think maybe that's what disturbs me the most about what's happening in this country is where we lost that. And I always thought that's what we were good at.
Yeah, well, look, I think it did exist when we were kids, but it was on the fringe. It was something that people said, hey, let's not ever get like that. And then it's kind of become more mainstream. Mostly, I think a lot of folks started going along with it out of I don't want to be seen as mean. And look, I want to help people that have challenges. And I don't want to go around bullying anybody that's got that kind of stuff going on.
Yeah, of course.
But at the same time, it's weird that this has gone from leave me alone and let me exist to I want you and your children to think that this is the way things should be. And that's where things have gone off the rails. And again, Biden and the Democrats are embracing this. It was funny. I watched on the news the other night, there was a feminist protest and a bunch of very far left leaning feminists were like, because they're so against some of the stuff that's going on right now coming out of the Biden administration, like I'm politically homeless. I have nowhere to go anymore.
Right.
I'm like, well, I mean, you helped bring this on. I mean, I'll gladly, welcome you back into the fold, and maybe we can find some common ground on some of these other issues. I'd love to do that. Now, maybe if you got past calling folks that you disagreed with bigots and all this other stuff, we could actually move down that road.
Yeah, no, that's kind of hard, that reconciliation. But I also think it's important. There's been a trend, as you know, in social media and not corporate media, which is, I think, a really good term to use for what used to be called media. Not corporate media, but, the folks that consider themselves liberals or classically liberal or people on the left find themselves more at home with people in the conservative movement and the right libertarian movement who are accepting of the very points and who at least want to hear them out and who want to talk to them. And there's been a huge migration. I mean, there's a lot of people who were left-speaking people who are no longer welcome on CNN and MSNBC, which is insane. But they're welcome on Hannity, I'm sure, or Tucker, or any of the other.
Look at Bill Maher now. I mean, Bill Maher is making appearances on Fox News, which I still have my own issues with Bill Maher because I think he was one of the reasons a lot of this was brought on. But it's even so far surpassed him that he's getting on Fox News. I mean, sooner or later he'll be on OAN or something. Who knows?
Right. Hey, I gotta take a quick issue with you before we get into our next topic.
Okay.
I got two problems. You kind of hurt my feelings. Number one, you haven't talked about how good my new high and tight is. Look at that shit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a dude. I didn't notice.
Hurts my feelings. And what about my kitten background?
I wasn't even going to mention it. I thought about it, and I figured you'd become crazy cat lady, and believe me.
You don't like my kitten background? It's awesome.
Believe me, I noticed it. I remember reading about somebody once who had like 24 cats, and when she died, you know what they did? They ate her.
I don't have a single cat, but I like cats. I have a coonhound. He's passed out over there in my bed. So anyway,
well, I got two cats, a dog, and because my wife brought another dog that we're taking care of for the weekend home, the two cats upstairs don't know how to react to the new dog, who has already shit in the house once at least. Supposedly house trained, but I think being in a new home for the weekend has kind of freaked the dog out a little bit. The cats.
I think somebody lied to you about it being trained. That's what I think.
Well, it's funny because the cats, cats usually have long, slender tails. and both of their tails are like completely bushy right now. They're all freaked out.
Poor kitties. Yeah, I just got the one big coonhound, so we had a good day today. We had some sun up here, driving around looking at fucking daffodils and stuff. So we're gonna
Move off that weenie topic and go to something else.
Yes. What? I like flowers.
Yeah,
All right, folks.
So do other women.
You're such a
dick. I know.
Yeah, one of those. All right, people who I can't do without. This is one of my favorite topics in history. I have a list of a bunch here. I can stop whenever. I can go whatever. And then after this, we're going to go into your topic, which was... What was that again?
Which one? We're talking about the people I can't be friends with?
No.
Or are we talking about the
people I can't be friends with? No, that's mine. And then people I can't do without. Jesus Christ.
That's what I was wondering what you're talking about. So are we talking about the slap heard around the world?
Yes. Then we'll go into that.
Okay.
After this. We're going to mix it up a little bit tonight. I thought we'd mix it up just a little bit.
Let's do that.
A little comedy between the scenes. So, would you like to go first?
Well, why don't you go first to make sure I'm on track because I just kind of listed out types of people I can't be friends with.
Okay.
So
I tried to
see if I can if I need to modify what I've written.
I tried to stay out of politics a little bit. Just try to make it like population in general kind of things.
I've only got a couple of political folks on here, but I've got about 10.
That's fine. I do too. So number 1, men over the age of 18 who wear professional jerseys not on game day.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's weird to me. I will go if I went anywhere near Seattle today, I'd see 52 Russell Wilson jerseys.
They didn't burn those after he left?
It's not the season and it's not game day. Now, if you're a kid, you can wear a jersey. I had a Steve Largent jersey when I was a kid, and you know who Steve Largent was, of course.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
former QB during the years when y'all were in the wilderness.
Yeah, when we were in the wilderness, probably our greatest player ever, Hall of Fame wide receiver, great guy, Oklahoma congressman, and I wore that jersey until I burst it. That's cool. You can do that. But
you can't wash that jersey anymore. That thing still stinks. Coop was one of those guys who wore that jersey to funerals and weddings and all that kind of stuff.
You're goddamn right I did. But if you wear a jersey and it's not game day and it's not the season and you're over the age of 18, fuck you. I can't be your friend. Go ahead, Russ.
Okay, I got one that's going to probably piss some people off, but I don't care. People with literature or sociology degrees or economics degrees who insist on being called doctor. Not just the acknowledgement that they have a PhD, but if you say, "Hey, Mr. Bowen or Mrs. Smith," they're like, "I'm Dr. Bowen. I'm Dr. Smith."
Do people actually do that?
Yeah, I've seen it, and then they don't react well when I say, "Well, if I'm having a heart attack, can you save me?" If I'm having a heart attack and you can't save me, or if I have a tooth that needs a root canal and you can't do it, I'm not calling you doctor. I'm sorry. If I'm in your class or I'm in a conference setting, that's fine. But if I meet you on the street somewhere, if I'm in your house, if we're just talking, I'm not calling you doctor. This whole controversy initially sprung up. Well, it existed for years. It came back into the forefront with the greatest of all doctors, Dr. Jill Biden, decided that she was going to put that out there, and people freaked out when others weren't calling her Dr. Biden because she's just, she's right up there with like Dr. J, Dr. Pepper, Dr. Fauci. If you can't save me if I'm having a stroke, then, or you can't fill a cavity, I'm not calling you doctor. I'm sorry. I find it pretentious. I find it snooty. I know actual medical doctors who are like, "Dude, call me Stan. Dude, call me." He says, "Hey man, call me Karen." Maybe not Karen, maybe Susan. But just stop it with the pretentiousness.
And you're retired, and so am I.
I don't make people call me Colonel.
Yeah, there you go. That was my point.
I didn't mean to steal from you.
Call me sir, or vets call me by my rank, and so it's like I'm Coop.
Yeah.
That was another lifetime and another time ago. Thank you. I appreciate it. I always say it. Thank you. I appreciate it. But just call me, Coop or whatever. Yeah.
I got soldiers who still call me sir or captain because I was their company commander.
Right.
Some of them do it out of habit. Some of them do it just to annoy me because they know that I'm not like that. But
Right.
if I'm like at a party or something and someone says, "Hey, Mr. Meyer," I don't respond and say, "Hey, it's Colonel Meyer." I mean, I would deserve every bit of the wedgies that I got from that.
Right. Right. No, I hear you. No, it's gross. It's gross. All right. Here's another one of mine. Helicopter man. And here's what I mean by that. Guys who have to hover around their women on every social media photo ever taken on their social media. Helicopter boys. Yes. If you're that insecure or you think you're all that in a bag of chips, you're in the wrong relationship. I have female friends whose boyfriends or husbands or whatever are in every, and they make those goofy faces.
Yeah.
With their tongue sticking out.
Yep.
Along with their, just jump off something really high with a bunch of gallons of gasoline and flint onto a rocky surface, please, because I want you to die in a fire. That is the grossest thing I've ever seen in my life. And if
remove the chain
girl
from around
who wants you to do that, if it's not your fault, she's like, "Hey, baby, take a picture with me." You're with the wrong girl, or say, "I don't do that. I don't do that." Be a fucking man. Helicopter boys are the biggest pussies on planet Earth.
Yeah, it's one thing to be in a photo every once in a while. You know, hey,
yeah, that's cool.
Together, or we just finished this awesome mountain climb. That's one thing, but yeah, I'd say remove the chain from around your balls if you have to be in every single one of them.
Yeah, or around her other organ.
Yeah,
because I think that's what it's about. All right, your turn.
Okay, I think this is one a lot of people will share, but toppers. You know, I come in with, man, I just went on this amazing hike.
Yeah.
In the Rockies. Oh yeah, well I just finished an expedition to Everest. Or well, we played a pickup basketball game the other night. Oh really? I'm in an amateur league. I mean,
one-uppers.
Yeah, the folks who have to always one-up you. They think they're either trying to show they're better or they're so eager to relate to you that they can't wait to get something in on that.
Right.
Just accept that you are not the same, that somebody does something cool that you don't, and let them have their moment instead of trying to horn in on everything.
I got you. I 100% agree. So I'm going to stay on the social media track that I was on before. So people who put photos up on Facebook or other social media where there are 50 photos in a row of either your kid or you that look only slightly different. Like same background, same everything, just slightly posed, slightly different. We get it with the one fucking photo. And like, oh God, narcissism is such a part of, never used to be a big part of what modern culture was, but it's such a big part. But it's like, you know what I'm talking about, right? The social media photos where it's like,
yeah,
there's a lake behind my kid, and look, he goes,
yep.
It's like you could actually do a stop motion fucking video to these photos if you put them in. Like you actually could. You could have a whole movie, probably less than an hour and a fucking half, of this goddamn kid standing in front of a lake with some stupid fucking shit that he's got in his hand or something like that. Fuck off. You're all narcissistic. I hope like the meteor hits your house first. Okay, go ahead first.
Okay, this is one we could probably do an entire episode on. But I'll give you several examples of me encountering these types of women. The Cairns. The Cairns have become a big deal during the pandemic. The first time that I encountered one was in one of the most elite shopping locales in Tennessee, the Walmart, where at the beginning of the pandemic, this was before the mask mandate came down a couple months later. But Walmart, for some reason, put arrows on their aisles, like you can only go down this way and you can only come back up this other way. So I was going against the flow of traffic, and some Karen in there with her face already wrapped in a mask was like, "Sir, you need to be going the other way." And I was like, okay, I'll let it go. And I started turning around. She said, and then you need to be wearing a mask too. And I lost my mind. I was like, you could take your mask and shove it up your effing ass. Okay. I said, as a matter of fact, I turned my card around. I said, as a matter of fact, I am going down this aisle. You better move your shit out of the way. And she did. Um, I believe it was New Year's Eve of 2020. Either that or the day before New Year's Eve. Went out to pick up a gourmet meal at Pizza Hut. Uh, went in, went into the Pizza Hut. Some woman was waiting outside, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess she's one of those that's super paranoid about this. So I went inside and I'm waiting, and she comes in a few minutes later to pick up her pizza because it's finally ready. And she looks at the guy behind the counter. She says, you have too many people in here. I could have you shut down. Well, the kid behind the counter can't say anything. He's going to get fired if he does. He's not allowed to stick up for himself, but I am.
Right.
One of the reasons I speak up, and I think I've said this before, but one of the reasons I speak up is because for every person that speaks up, there are a dozen or more that feel the same way but are too afraid to speak up. So I said, ma'am, you don't own this establishment and you're not part of the health department. She looks at me and said, I wasn't talking to you. And she goes back to talking to him. So I decided to step, beside the counter. I said, ma'am, he can't respond to you. I can. Take your pizza and get the hell out. I said, you don't have any power here. Just because you think that you do, that does not grant it to you. And then it happened a few months later at a Baskin Robbins, when this was the mask mandate had just been lifted, and someone went back and said, y'all need to be wearing your masks. And they said, well, we lifted the mask mandate. What's for everybody? It's for everybody's health. And I looked and said, I'm eating ice cream there because they had chocolate fudge with hot fudge on top. It's really good. And I said, ma'am, are you with the health department? That doesn't matter. I said, well, it kind of does. And even if you were with the health department, you don't have statutory authority. You need to leave. And it's in every single case, it's very overweight, middle-aged women who are doing this stuff. One of my chief problems with the pandemic is every busybody Budinsky in the world suddenly thought they had power to impose every paranoid fantasy they ever had.
Right.
The Cairns are the ones that I really get mad at, because when they try to say something, they're trying to impose their will on us, and that's just not something I'm going to tolerate.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, we've talked about that a lot. It's when the people who've never been in charge are in charge, they don't handle it well, and
Yep.
The tyranny of punity, or I should say the tyranny of puniness. I get that. Let's see which one. God, I have so many here. I can pick and choose. All right, I'm gonna skip this one because it's gonna that will cause me a lot of explanation. But jam bands or people that go to Dave Matthews concerts and put them online and brag about it. Yeah, fuck you. I'm not your friends. It's very simple. You go to the Gorge here in Washington State to a Dave Matthews fucking concert in the middle of July, and you put it on, lol, and there's some jam band, lol. Yeah, fuck you. You're and
You're doing a lot of YouTube editing.
You have a nice house in Kirkland and have a meaningless life with your labradoodle and your shitty kids, and lol, go to your jam band Dave Matthews concerts in the Gorge. Yeah, don't want to be your friend. Dave Matthews sucks. Jam bands suck. There
Okay. I have one that's probably going to
feel very strongly about this.
I can tell that. So I have one that is going to encompass about 75% of the planet at least. But I have never denied that I'm an effete snob. I get it. Shallow people not willing to look beyond the surface of an issue. I encounter them everywhere. They react with their feelings. They think they are morally better because they react with their feelings, not realizing it's easier to react with your feelings than to think things through, just like it's easier to piss in your pants than to use a toilet. But people that comment and don't know what they're talking about, I mean, we could talk about just a current events example is the Florida parental rights bill. A lot of people have never even read it, but they swear they know what's in it. Folks who are talking about the energy sector and they don't know what goes in, There are 9,000 unused permits on federal lands for oil companies. Yeah, there's a difference between, permit. You actually have to explore. Just because you have the permit doesn't mean there's oil there. You have to have extraction permits.
Right.
You have to have the infrastructure in order to, people who will not look beyond the surface of an issue, but act as if they know everything. Look, I'll be perfectly honest. I am a conceited, arrogant son of a bitch. I fully admit that. I know a lot about a lot of things. However, people who interact with me will also notice if I do not know something about a topic, I will say, I can't comment. I don't know enough about that topic. I do that on purpose because I do not want to weigh in and look like an idiot on something. And I've done, look, don't get me wrong, I have done that before. I think we all have, but I make a concerted effort to stay out of topics that I don't have enough context on. Unfortunately, most of the human race does not have that same ability.
No, I hear you. And like I said it since I actually started figuring things out. Before you make a decision, walk all, your car breaks down or you're looking at a car to buy, walk all the way around it, kick the tires, get underneath the hood, open up the trunk, look at the interior, look underneath the seats, look for rust spots. Before you say a fucking thing, you should also consider every topic like that. You should consider every topic like that. And, I will defend myself, and you're the same way. One of the reasons we're friends and we respect each other is that I will follow a topic down to its lowest premise before I make a decision to talk about it. If it comes out of my mouth, trust me, I have thought about it thousands of hours even when I'm sleeping before I open up my fucking mouth. Doesn't mean I'm always right, but it means I'm right a far larger percentage of the time than most people because I will follow that up. And I've changed my mind about a lot of things as we've talked about this. I have. And I will continue to do so, I'm sure. Because what I don't know is far greater than what I do know. And I'm humble about that, and I understand that. Such is the mystery of the universe. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. One of the things I have tried to impart to my children, don't get me wrong, I do try to impart my values to them. But one of the things I've been telling, especially my teenager, is believe what you want, but know why you believe it. Don't believe it just because your friends do or because it feels good. If you have a position on something, think through it. What makes sense? What's the data? Why do you hold that position? And then you're much more secure and confident in your beliefs.
And the thing that I really, this popped into my mind today, and I wanted to talk to you about it for some weird reason, was that one of the reasons that I left the Republican Party in the early 90s and why I have a little bit of problem with some traditional religions and I'm not only spiritual, I'm religious. I'm a man of faith. I believe religion is very, very important. It keeps us out of the dark places in life. I do. And people, it's brain. Fuck off. You don't think you're brainwashed by stuff that you believe in. If you're not religious, then fuck off. I realize Jesus never told me to fuck off, but I'm one of those guys that Jesus. I was his bouncer. I was Jesus' bouncer. I wasn't mentioned in the New Testament. I was Borg the bouncer. I just didn't make it into the Gospels. But you got to challenge your belief system all the time.
It's uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable, but religions that don't do that, like I grew up with a friend that was a Jehovah's Witness. And one of the great athletes and a great guy and stuff like that. He never got to realize his potential, in my opinion, because his religion didn't challenge itself. It tried to sequester itself away from every other belief system and say, no, don't listen, don't do that. If you're confident in your belief system, then you have no problem running up against other belief systems. And that's when I was thinking about what the left is doing right now. And the whole cancel culture, and you can't talk about this, you can't talk about that. That is the very highest state of insecurity in a belief system. When you don't want to expose it to other belief systems to see if you're right. And we all have room to grow on this, and so do I. So I'm not trying to be preachy about this, but the ultimate belief in your belief system is allowing yourself to be exposed to other belief systems and seeing if it stands up. Seeing if it stands merit, right? I mean, like I always say, the God I believe in doesn't want us to believe in God anymore because he wants he wants us to be godly enough to not need him anymore. That sounded like a lot, but it actually makes sense if you dissect that.
Yeah, well, there are two movie quotes here that I think are very profound. People may laugh at where they come from, but first, the great Kevin Costner from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, had a very
I may
profound
even laugh at that one.
he had a very profound line when he said, you know, it is vanity to try to force others to your religion. And that's what you do when you shut others out, is you're trying to force them to your way of thinking, or you don't want to confront it.
Right.
The second was in The Matrix Reloaded, when Morpheus was talking to Commander Locke, and Locke said, "Damn it, Morpheus, not everyone believes the way you do." And Morpheus responded, "My beliefs do not require them to." I enjoy questions of faith, because questions of faith you can find answers to actually strengthen faith. You do get challenged. You should be uncomfortable when challenging those beliefs, because it's just not, you're having to explore new territory.
Right.
When it comes to certain beliefs about God and the universe and creation, there are things I believe, but there's also a whole bunch of stuff that I accept I do not know and will not know until, I'm dead, which I know a lot of people are probably rooting for, but at that point I'll know even more than I do now.
Well, you've dodged successfully most of those people your whole life, so congratulations.
Dodge their bullets, yeah.
That's right. That's right. Whose turn is it?
Your turn.
Is it my turn?
Your turn.
All right. Let's see. All right. This is kind of hard to explain, but this is one of my pet peeves in life. People who are unnecessarily afraid of commas. So let me give you an example. If I say Russ is afraid of green, he's afraid of blue, he's afraid of yellow. Okay? Or I could go, Russ is afraid of green, and Russ is also afraid of blue, and Russ is afraid of yellow, and Russ is afraid of orange. No, just list shit out without being expositional, and let's get to the goddamn point. Commas are your friend. Commas are your friend.
You just, the sentences you use to illustrate how stupid people are about avoiding commas just like sent my writer's brain into short circuit. Because I would never have written anything like that. It'd be like, no, Russ is afraid of blue, yellow, green, and orange.
Right. But you hear that, you don't see it so much in print as you hear it, like in a podcast or expositional. Russ is afraid of green. Russ is also afraid of yellow. Russ is also afraid of blue. Motherfuck. You know where I'm going with that. You've heard it.
I do. What it is it's people who can't actually piece together a coherent thought, so they have choppy thoughts, and they're insistent on getting them all out.
Right. Yeah, so that's I'm glad I explained that one, because that was kind of subtle, but God, whenever I hear it or I read it, I get so pissed off.
All right.
Let me tell you about the stock market. And let me also tell you about how the stock market affects our economy. And let me also tell you about, you know what I mean? It's narcissistic, I think. I think it's a mark of a narcissist to do that.
I think it's a mark of someone who lacks intelligence and just can't coherently string together their sentences into one thought.
You're probably right.
Okay, this has only been a thing in the last 2 years. But I have encountered a few of them. The pronoun people. The people who have to put the, he, his, she, her in their bios. Because, look, everyone knows that you're a man, or everyone knows you're a woman. The reason you're doing that is to virtue signal to others about how tolerant you think you are, or about how you care so much about, making sure everyone is considered. It's nothing to do with you're concerned you might not be identified as something. It's the vocabulary. It's about you showing, hey, look at me, I'm an awesome person because I do this. I've encountered a few of the pronoun people. As soon as I see pronouns in your bio, I know everything I need to know about you. Yeah. I'm sorry, but I know how you think. I know the conceit with which you view yourself and your own views, and I know what you will think of me and my views. So I don't need to know anything more once I see the pronouns in your bio.
Yeah, I hear you. Now, I 100% that didn't make my list, but it should have. That's a good one. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I know this is going to be controversial.
Uh-oh.
It is going to be controversial. It goes right up there with, like, wearing the jersey when you shouldn't be wearing the jersey. Anybody who has a vanity plate of any type whatsoever. I don't get it. I don't get it. So there's a bunch of things wrong with this all at the same time. Not just that it's narcissistic. And most of them are like some weird code like N8Q82, like you are cute too, whatever, fuck off. It's like you want me to take my eyes off the road and what's going on to read your vanity plate and try to somehow assimilate that in my brain. And so, oh, hey, I just ran over a fucking hooker. That was, it makes no sense to me. And here's the thing, and you pay a lot extra for that. You pay a lot extra for that. I actually went by a house one time, and I'll say the town, which is insane. It's in Bremerton, Washington, which is a town that considers itself really cool, but it's a shitty fucking town. Fuck off, everybody from Bremerton that's listening to this. You have a shit town up there. And like I was walking one time, and I went by a house, and all the cars parked in the driveway. I don't remember the last name of the people, but it was like Smith 1, Smith 2, Smith 3. And I'm like, and I remember my girlfriend at the time, she had, she was dating this active duty Army guy, and she's like, I think I was a major in the Army at the time, and she kind of didn't know what to think of me, and I'm like, holy fucking Christ, I'd call in a fire mission on this fucking house right now. And it would better the planet. And she did not understand what I was saying. I'm like, no, look at that. Look at that. Are you fucking serious? And these kids are going to grow up and do that to their kids, and so on and so on and so on. Begat. This is, a fire mission on this house right now would save humanity a lot of crimes for the future. So, vanity plates. I hate vanity plates. Hate them. I don't care what they say. Go Seahawks. Go fuck yourself. Fuck off.
Okay,
no vanity plates.
Let me chime in here. I hope you don't hate me too much. I do not have a vanity license plate. I've never had a DMV vanity license plate. My very first vehicle, however, it wasn't a vanity license plate. My dad went to like a novelty store and had a special plate put together that I put on the front of my vehicle, because in North Carolina, you only needed a license plate for the back of your vehicle. Right. I had a 1969 Volkswagen van that everybody had nicknamed the Russ Bus. So my dad went and got, there was a black and gold plate that said Russ Bus that I put on the front of my vehicle that I had for like my first year and a half when I was 16 years old.
That was the license plate bracket? The holder?
No, it was like a specialty, but it was.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get it from the DMV. It wasn't anything I did. This was something he went down to. I don't even remember the novelty shop's name, and it went on the front of my vehicle. It was
fun. No, that's fun.
It was a goof because I was in high school and everybody called my cheap Volkswagen van the Russ Bus.
No, that's cool. I'm talking about the actual state license vanity plate. If you had RSBSS.
Ugh.
Yeah, that'd have been kind of weird. I don't know, just me. All right.
So why don't you go again? Because I had one and I lost it. I thought of one that I didn't write it down because I'm stupid sometimes.
Okay, I did vanity plate. All right. God, I got so many here I could choose from. All right. And this is going to be the feature of one of our upcoming videos, our original videos. But if you wear a baseball hat... Wait, hold on.
This is good podcasting, people. You all pay attention to this.
No, go ahead. I'm going to model this for you. Here's how you wear a baseball hat.
It's very stylish.
Look, it's not like this. It's not like that. It's not like that. It's not like that. It's like this. Watch this.
My favorites are the guys who wear the baseball caps on backwards but have the hand over their eyes to keep the sun out of their eyes.
Right. I mean, like if I'm doing something or I'm running or something like that, I'll do that. That's cool. That's cool. I get that. But you know what? When you're wearing it forward, you better fucking bend that fucking brim. It better be on straight. There you go. That's what it's supposed to goddamn look like right there. If you don't wear your baseball hat, if you like, what's up, bro?
Yo, G.
Or even like this. And I see guys my age wearing hats like this.
Oh, wow. That's sad.
Guys my age wearing hats like this. I just want to pummel you. I'm going to tell you, I just want to pummel you. It's just, all right, here you go. Here you go. Ready? That's how you wear a hat. And those of you on our podcast only, not our YouTube, I'm sorry about the last 3 minutes, but you'll see a video that
envision it in your mind. You'll get a hilarious picture. I do have one. I do have another one that I thought of. This is one I actually wanted to do a podcast segment on. We'll just do it briefly here. I call them the almost people. I almost joined the army. I almost went on a cruise. I almost went to Harvard. Folks, that is a subset of the toppers. It's a subset of the people who weren't good enough to do something, but want us to think they were good enough to do something.
Right.
I cannot tell you how many people in the last quarter of a century I have met who almost joined the army. And then even within the army, people who almost joined the infantry. I'm like, dude, just accept that you're not as good as I am, or accept that you're not as good as somebody else who actually did something like that. I mean, I don't go around, trying to say, well, I almost invented Microsoft Word. I almost invented Facebook. No, I didn't. Why would I be so insecure as to try to bring that up? I think that's what it comes from, is a level of insecurity, because when you've done something awesome that someone else, they feel a little jealous that you did it and they didn't. They want to talk about how they almost did it so they can kind of be part of the in club.
I'll leave it at that. No, that's a good one. I think we'll leave it at that. I don't think I have any.
Good job.
This be a topic for further conversation, because I've got a list of millions here that people like I can't hang out with, but I get it. Yeah. So what else, Russ?
Well, there's one other thing I just want to briefly touch on. Some know it as the slap heard around the world.
Yep.
The Oscars came on recently. Now, let me say, if it had not been for Will Smith going up to Chris Rock and supposedly smacking him, most folks would not have known the Oscars even occurred. And I believe that was the point. Because for all you folks out there who are like, oh my goodness, Will Smith did violence, or Will Smith stuck up for his woman, or whatever, we could get into all that. We could go into all about how Will Smith was willing to defend his wife against somebody making a joke, but not willing to tell her that she can't go sleeping with other guys because of their supposedly open marriage. But look, that whole thing was staged. It was fake. It was kayfabe, which is a professional wrestling term when they tried to pretend it was real. There are all kinds of things showing that there's no way that was real. Everything from, first of all, Chris Rock not reacting reflexively and even trying to put his hands up when Will Smith comes up to smack him, to, even before Will Smith starts to smack him, his face starts to turn a little bit to go with the smack, the way that you do when you're taking a hit in movies. To, if it's real, then Will Smith is such a weak ass wimp that he can't even knock Chris Rock down or stop him from talking for 2 seconds with a smack. I know some people get offended when I say this, but that was a complete work. It was done to get publicity for the Oscars. It was done because everyone's talking about it now. It was not real.
I am not sure where I'm at with it. I don't disagree with you, but some I don't know if it wasn't real. There's some good acting going on, and I guess both these
Will
dudes are
Smith did
actors.
just win the Best Actor award for King Richard.
Yeah, and this is going to be controversial. And let me say this: I'm not a Will Smith fan. I never have been, never will be. I think he's fucking overrated. I think he does that whole thing in every one of his fucking. I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan. I'm not. Never have been. I don't hate him. When Independence Day came out and stuff, I thought he was entertaining in it, but over the top completely the entire time. Best actor, and one of the things I think that supports what you're saying is the fact that and Hollywood's now regretting it. It's like what was it like 30 minutes later he got the Best Actor award and they gave him a standing ovation after he assaulted somebody.
Yeah.
And
you notice Chris Rock decided immediately, I'm not going to call the police report in.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing is bullshit. But at least the hashtag Oscars so white doesn't mean so much anymore.
Although I have seen that smack blamed on white supremacy.
Oh, I have too. Of course. Yeah, no, it's not Will's fault. It's my fault.
Actually, it's Trump's fault.
Was it Trump's fault? Thank God, because I always think it's my fault. Because I think I think
well,
it
usually is.
Grew up in a really poor ass fucking family where his dad was a welder and his mom was a bartender, and we were just barely making ends meet on a farm. Yeah, I always thought it was my fault. Yeah, thank God.
I do like Will Smith in some of his earlier stuff because he was kind of cool. I mean, I was first introduced to Will Smith singing "Parents Just Don't Understand."
Right.
But it served several purposes. First of all, the biggest one is it got people talking about the Oscars for the first time in more than a decade. Yeah, Will Smith, I guess he did win Best Oscar for King Richard, but if you notice, we had King Richard. He hasn't had a whole lot of real big hits recently. Suddenly everybody's talking about him. And for all of the people who are saying, well, Will Smith shouldn't have been violent, you got an equal number, especially of women who are like, ooh, look, Will Smith stood up for his woman. That's chivalrous. So you got this big debate going on about that. Like I said, first of all, Ricky Gervais was, 10 times worse to the Hollywood crowd just a couple years ago. That was one of the best Oscar performances I've ever seen.
Yep.
And the only reason we saw that was
because the Golden Globes to be
Golden Globes. All I know is that they showed that over and over, and it was because everybody was laughing at the actors. But he and Chris Rock have hung out before. He's not going to be that mad about it. And if he is mad enough to go up on stage, and you're going to defend your woman, I believe it's going to involve a closed fist, not an open hand smack that looks like you were in the 5th grade. And let's not forget, Will Smith is a large person.
He's a large man.
Not only did Chris Rock not fall over from that, he got smacked, and then he literally in the next breath said, "Did Will Smith just smack the shit out of me?" He couldn't even be bothered to be like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry." Like I said, I know some folks are different on this, and I'm going to offend a lot of folks when I say this, possibly even you, Coop. I don't mean to, but I'm going to. I think those who believe this is real are gullible. I just do. No, I think they swallowed it.
You might be right. You might be right. I'm fence riding on it a little bit, and I'll tell you this. You want to hear my take on if it's real? Why?
Sure.
Because he is a humiliated cuck, and that his wife has fucked other guys right underneath his fucking nose for years, and he's gone public with that. And there isn't a single man on planet Earth that looks at him and goes, "Yeah, you're a man. You're a man." No, I'm sorry. Marriage has a very certain connotation among 99.9% of men. I'm not talking about boys. I'm not talking about all this bullshit. But there's no goddamn way any man would be okay with that. And the fact that she went public with it, and the pictures of her lovers, and all that kind of thing. He's been humiliated by her. I think she's abusive. I do. I think he's cuckolded in this relationship. I think she's abusive. Yep. And I think he does everything he can to please her. And I think it was a real demonstration of the rage and the fucking bullshit that he keeps inside, knowing that, hey, Jada's got my balls in a fucking lock, and this is what I do, and this is who I am. I really believe that. From a clinical, psychological viewpoint, I see it very clearly.
Well, I have no doubt about him. I mean, I hold the same opinion that he's a cuck on this. There's no way I have been involved with a woman like that. I mean, I get, initially hooking up, but marriage is about exclusivity. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. If you don't like that, don't get married.
Yep.
I
But 100% agree. That's, yep.
You gotta remember when Chris Rock first told the joke, Will Smith laughed, and then he looked over at his wife. Then went on stage, and then if you notice, when he turns around, he's got a half smirk on his face, almost like he's trying to cover up. And it very quickly turns serious again, but it's there for half a second. Yeah. I think this is real as Jussie Smollett, and I think it's going to come out eventually.
Yeah, you may be right. Yeah, I'm just bringing it from a psychological point of view. I don't think he's doing well. I don't think he's doing well. I think he's troubled. I think he's hurting. I can't imagine a real man, especially a man that plays like a man's man in all these movies and all that kind of thing, is okay with his wife coming out public with the fact that she cucked him, and that's okay. And, I found my pleasure with another man, and la 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 la. I think he's raging. I think he's raging inside. I'm sure. And if he's not raging inside, there's something wrong with him. There's something.
But I thought, and I could be wrong, I thought that their marriage was open where he was allowed to go out and get his own rocks off as well.
Yeah, I'm sure, but that never became public. What became public was the dudes that she was fucking. So
okay. Maybe I just made an assumption that it was out there.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. I'll just leave it at that. I can't even imagine. I mean, my brain doesn't even wrap itself around something that's okay. That's not what marriage is. That's, if you want to date somebody openly, yeah, great. And I think all of his kids are completely fucked up, but that's a completely different thing. Yeah, you look at them and they're like, oh yeah, those are stable kids.
But I mean, I don't even. First of all, it did get one way or the other. It got people talking about the Oscars for the first time in forever.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, you got Amy Schumer looking over like, wait a minute, we can get hit if our jokes are bad. I mean, that's going to come back to bite her at some point. Here's quick. The only reason I even knew that Will Smith won that Best Actor's award was because of the slap. What was Best Picture? I don't even have any idea what Best Picture was this year.
Oh, I actually saw it. It was lovely. It was Coda. It was about the deaf family who had the one daughter who was not deaf. It was on.
I've never heard of this movie.
It was on Apple Plus.
Why does it not surprise me that, it's. When was the last time that Hollywood picked a movie that people went to go see?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I loved Coda. It's a lovely movie, and if you have Apple Plus, watch it. It was a lovely the gal that plays the daughter who can actually hear was also the daughter in Lock and Key. If you watch that series on Netflix,
I've heard about it.
Yeah, she's lovely. She's a really, really great actress. Marlee Matlin played the mother. The main two actors, the dad and the mom, were deaf actors. Yeah, and so was the brother. She's the one in the family who can actually hear, and she becomes the ambassador for them with their life. And then she's growing up and wants to leave. Great movie. It was actually incredibly well done. So I don't have a problem with that. The problem I have, like you said, is like it was on Apple Plus, and I told you that I bowed out when the Oscars actually awarded Shape of Water to the best movie of the year.
The one that I call Grinding Nemo.
Grinding Nemo. It was a bad movie, and it was a disgusting premise, and everything about it was shit. And that's when I knew that Hollywood's going woke. And I said something out there way before we had our podcast and stuff like that. And I was like, it's an anti-American, anti-capitalist movie that, tries to shred the whole patriarchy. What are you talking about? It's just a really good love story. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I feel like fish sticks stuffed in your vagina.
Yeah. The last picture that people actually saw that won Best Picture was probably The Hurt Locker in 2009.
Which is I don't think it's a good movie. I'm sorry.
Before that, maybe 2003, The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. Gladiator won it in 2000. Those might be the last movies that anybody actually saw.
So it's been 20 plus years since Hollywood went woke, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but if you notice, I mean, even as recently as the 90s, people, they did nominate, they did movies that people saw would win, like, Dances with Wolves, Silence of the Lambs, Unforgiven, Braveheart, Forrest Gump, American Beauty. People actually saw those movies.
Right.
Now it's all about, ever since, I think after Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, like I said, Hurt Locker, you may not have enjoyed it, but a lot of people did go see it and did enjoy it.
Yeah.
They weren't these obscure movies like Shape of Water, Coda, or some of these, or some of the others. The Artist, Moonlight.
Which is a shit movie.
Yeah, just stuff people have not seen. But it made artsy fartsy stuff. It made them feel like they were artistes.
It went from artiste to woke somewhere along the line.
It went to, in my opinion, went to exclusionary. What I mean by that is it went to Hollywood saying, all you peasants that went and saw the Avengers, we make that just because you're stupid, but we're gonna pick a movie that we know you didn't see because we made it and it was wonderful because it was from us and it's from our souls. And I think that's what a lot of these movies have become. It's more about Hollywood giving a big middle finger to the peasants that they try to make money off of.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. There was a time, wasn't that long ago, even in my adulthood, where Oscar night was kind of a big night. Yeah, we used to have parties. You make some fucking mozzarella sticks and.
Well, and they were hosted by Billy Crystal and Robin Williams. They were funny.
Right. You look forward to seeing the stars out there spoofing each other and all that kind of thing, and it's become wokey of the wokiness. Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
Well, what else, Russ?
Well, I think that's about it from Casa de Meyer for right now.
All right.
I mean, for those who are going to get this podcast later, y'all don't know that it's nighttime right now, and old men like me end up needing to go to bed at some point soon. Plus, as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, there's a new dog in our house temporarily, and I need to go see what chaos it has caused recently.
Well, I wish you luck on that. I have my kitten background, as you can see, so we're fine over here. I got all these.
Yeah,
kittens.
it's for those who can't see it, it's disturbing.
Well, come over to the YouTube channel if you can't see it, and you'll be able to see it there. So,
I especially like the all white cat looking like a princess there in the middle that just kind of says pure.
Right here.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the really mean one over there on the behind your left shoulder. The others, yeah, that one right there. Yeah, that one just looks like it wants to rip your head off.
Nah, it's just my good kitty. It's my good kitty watching out for me right there.
Your voice went up a couple of octaves there when you said that.
It probably did. All right, brother. Well, it's good to see you. I will get this up at some point. I'm not going to promise it's going to be tonight, but I'll try.
If not tonight, if not now, when? If not us. Ooh.
Vox Populi. All right, man. Good talking to you.
All right. Awesome. Y'all have a great night out there in podcast land.
You guys keep your focus and stay wokeless.